Welcome to today's edition of the Author's Corner, brought to you by KNEO 91.7 FM, The Word. I'm Roberta Foster, and today I welcome Mindy Steel to Author's Corner. She's written the novel Courting an Amish Bishop, which is published by Barbour Publishing, and she'll tell you how to find the book at the end of the program. Just a little bit about Mindy. She is a mother of 4 and grandmother to a half dozen blessings, and when not writing, enjoys hiking and gardening in her home state of Kentucky. This is not her first novel, and so she'll be telling us more about that as we get started. Welcome to Author's Corner, Mindy.
Well, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
Well, the title of this book really caught my attention. It's part of the Heart of the Amish series, but it's called Courting an Amish Bishop. So, did you come up with the story first and then the title, or you came up with the title and then wrote the story?
Well, I think I would have to say I come up with the title first. I usually do that with all of my books. I'll have a thought or an idea, but the title is always the first thing that gets put down.
And so why deal with the issue of courting an Amish bishop? Is that a unique storyline, or how did that come to you?
I guess I was doing some reading of different authors and their idea of a bishop, and, you know, through their research, I happen to know quite a few bishops, and I happen to live just a couple miles from one. And it's not quite like that. And, you know, they're just men too. They just have huge roles and responsibilities. So I wanted to incorporate that. I think Barbour had put together such a unique series by the, pitching this Heart of the Amish series, which is 3 writers currently, me, Amish veteran Lisa Jones Baker, and Ann Blackburn. And readers get an opportunity to read standalone novels set in different parts of Amish country.
Okay.
Mine, of course, is always set in northern Kentucky, and which is where I always like to write. But, yeah, I like to find unique, different things that no one else is doing. So a healer, considering I knew a couple of those as well, I just kind of threw it together, the 2 characters, and it just made a perfect match.
Okay. So why don't you give us a brief synopsis of the story?
Of course. Well, Courting an Amish Bishop is actually your typical run-of-the-mill love story, because the hero and heroine are actually a bit older. You have Simon Graber, who is a widow with a son, and he raises horses, he piddles making knives, but he's also the bishop. He's one of my favorite heroes because he gives us all a glimpse into the life of being a bishop and just being a human being while seeking help for members in his community, including his son, because many people had fallen ill. He finds himself on the doorstep of a woman that's very unlike any person he's ever known. Stella Schmucker is an Amish healer. She grew up in some very complicated conditions, and having her intended marry someone else kind of urged her to leave Ohio to move in with her grandparents in Kentucky. And it is here in Kentucky where she learned about herbs and foraging, and finds that her purpose isn't necessarily finding people who care for her, but for caring for others. And she's terribly obsessed with clean water and has a silver lab that she treats like a child, and she's of the mindset that tea can cure just about anything. Yeah, she ends up finding herself in need of help eventually. I will not give away too much, but she also, starts making friends and building strong connections, and begins to learn that, home is not necessarily a place, but more of the people that, surround you.
You talked about the fact that one of the main characters is a bishop. Did you have to do more research into the actual role of a bishop before writing the book?
Well, of course, I did my due diligence. I mean, there's a lot of research that can be done, learning about the bishop and the men, 2 or 3 ministers and a deacon, that actually are the leaders of each Amish church. I found it wonderful information to learn from some of these men that, for one, you cannot be chosen as a bishop if you haven't first served as a minister. I don't believe too many people actually know that. but I can also say that if a bishop's role ever becomes vacant for any reason, then that drawing is actually done between ministers. He's sort of the head of the church. I learned through speaking to some of these men that they usually are in charge of the spiritual guidance of a community. They'll officiate baptisms, weddings, communions, funerals. They preach during the biweekly church services. They'll bring votes to the congregation on any issues such as technology, excommunication, or if rules need to be changed or altered. A bishop doesn't make the rules because the church's body actually does this together, but I guess if he has some influence, he can help, with that. He never gets paid for his work. I think that's also so important for readers to know that once you're a bishop, and chosen by God to help shepherd your community and provide, a livelihood for yourself. So, it was very much a learning curve to read or search to when you sit down with an actual bishop and get to learn more about them. So I think, it was a wonderful experience researching about that.
Well, we certainly have more to talk about with Mindy Steel regarding her book, Courting an Amish Bishop. It's published by Barbour Publishing, and you're listening to Author's Corner, and I'm Roberta Foster. Well, you also included the storyline of a healer, and that's Healer. So I wasn't really quite sure what that was, but you brought in the whole concept of using herbs for healing, and so that must have required some research as well, or maybe that's a part of your life.
Actually, that one didn't take as much research, but I did get fortunate. I grew up, right here on the edge of Appalachia, so, there's lots of herbal remedies we've always used to ward off the flu or, get rid of poison ivy. I had gone on a summer book tour in southern Kentucky to promote my Mountain Protector suspense series and happened to cross paths with an Amish healer down there. She was just a remarkable woman and full of so much wisdom. And then I've also been fortunate that I have an Amish doc living just 2 miles down the road, because even though I referred to her as a healer so often in the book, she's noted as Doc Stella because the Amish usually call someone in such a practice a doctor, even if they don't go to school or anything, for the things that they do. The Amish community around me, it has like 4 different churches or districts, as most people would refer it to. And a lot of times, I'm out visiting with neighbors and friends or, taking someone somewhere, and they'll even give you advice on how to do something. So, we've traded off different wisdoms over the years, so including a healer really wasn't so hard. It was more interesting. I enjoyed learning just a little bit more. I just feel like so many things that I had already known, so did they. So it didn't feel like a lot of research for that.
So we have 2 older people as the main characters in your book. And by older, I don't mean in their 60s, but, in midlife.
Late 30s, early 40s, yes.
Yeah. And so that's kind of different right there, because both of them had kind of set up themselves as being alone for the rest of their lives. And so was that kind of an intriguing storyline that you included?
Oh, yes. I of course, write wonderful, swoony love stories. I had just been awarded the Reader's Choice Readers Award from the Faith, Hope, and Love contest for the Flower Quilter with a younger couple. But as a reader myself, sometimes I don't want to read about 18-year-olds falling in love. So, you want to see love at different stages. And I enjoy writing about the different stages, even my side characters, there's always something going on with them. So, yeah, I kind of like trying something a little new every time that readers can relate to more and not just the characters or their circumstances. What
type of spiritual themes did you include in your book?
Well, I would like to think that it was driven to show people that each of us have a purpose despite our situation, despite our upbringing, because, God does not make mistakes. He made each of us.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to show a holistic view by introducing the herbs and things that sometimes, everything we need, God's already provided around us. And, love's never too late. I mean, Simon was a widower. He was a bishop, a busy man. He had a child's race. He assumed that this is how life was going to be for him. And then, of course, she was unwed and, set aside many times in her life. So showing them that, and anyone reading, love is always there. Love is found in so many different avenues. And, God never leaves us. He always provides for us. And in this case, he provided each of them a mate for life.
Yes.
But, love is it's, one of God's greatest gifts to us. So I like to incorporate the inspiration of how we can find it just about anywhere as long as we're willing to look for it.
Why don't you tell our listeners how they can find out more about other books that you've written and how to get a copy of this book? Yeah,
I have 2 short novels coming out this September and October I'm very excited about. But my next full novel, which is also the next installment in the Heart of the Amish series, is entitled A Stolen Kiss. It's due to release in December. You get to meet Leetta Miller, who's sort of the last of everything and very terrible with a bottle of spices in her hand, and Benyel Romp, a very determined young man wanting to show his father he can do things on his own since his brother Justin was given their family farm. There's going to be some brave acts, some reputations put at stake. It's a very unique story all its own. But some mistakes aren't so terrible, readers will find. I've also am currently working on another novel called Hunting for the Husband that'll come out in the summer of 2025. It'll also be included into the Amish series. But readers can, visit me and keep up to date with anything by going to MindySteel.com. My assistant, Vicki, does pretty good keeping everyone up to date there. On Facebook, I actually have a readers group called Mindy's Over the Fence Friends. And I encourage everyone to join it. We love swapping recipes. I even do morning chats on Thursdays. Sometimes it's Amish, sometimes, just what's going on here on the farm. But I love visiting with readers there. We have lots of giveaways and everything. But yeah, if you can find my books just about anywhere books are sold, and of course Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Walmart.com, just anywhere books are sold. You can Google in Mindy Steel and usually find whatever suits your reading preference.
Well, I noticed that in the back of the book there are 3 recipes because, as you mentioned, the healer has thought that tea could heal just about anything. So there's even a recipe for Doc Stella's Sunshine Tea, as well as a couple of others. Today I've been talking with Mindy Steel about her book, Courting an Amish Bishop. It's published by Barbour Publishing, and we appreciate them sending us a copy to talk about. And Mindy, thank you so much for your time and sharing with our listeners today.
Well, thank you all for having me. You all have a wonderful day, and I hope you get an opportunity to read Courting the Amish Bishop soon.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's interview or would like to hear it again, you can find it on your favorite podcast platform or through KNEO.org. This is Roberta Foster on the Author's Corner. Join me again next time.
Never miss your favorite show again. For more than 30 years, KNEO has been bringing you great Bible teachers on a local and national level. And now, we've made it easier than ever to hear from these great men and women of God. KNEO's entire lineup is now available to listen anytime, anywhere, through our website. Go to kneo.org/podcast to see all the options. You can search for programs alphabetically, or you can select individual categories like culture, kids, leadership, or music. We even have a category just for locally produced programs, so you can hear from pastors and spiritual leaders located right here in the 4-state area. And all these resources are absolutely free. KNEO's mission is to get God's Word in front of you, and this is one of the ways we do it. Give it a try today. Go to kneo.org and click on the podcast tab to get started.